I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots, I be getting money. I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots, I be getting money.
Hi, welcome to another episode of I Look Good Naked podcast with Terry J. Vaughn.
And Cas Seeger's Beatles. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Cas.
How are you?
I'm so fantastic. I am fantastic. I'm on cloud nine. I
Oh,
got
good.
to host co-host the Tom Joyner morning show today, so I'm just happy. I'm happy.
Good.
And I'm
good,
here
good,
with you now.
And you're here with me, and I know that makes you happy. Yay!
That makes me so happy. So happy. More than y'all know.
Well, I have a very interesting and a very fun quote today. I can say that. And you will get a really good chuckle after you hear it, considering everything that has just transpired in our lives. So my quote today is from Zig Ziglar. And you're going to laugh because you're going to say, oh my God,
well,
how
I'm
ironic.
laughing at the name already. Go ahead.
Zig Ziglar. Oh my God, he's got the best name. Do you know who Zig Ziglar is? He's a motivational speaker, sales guy. He's got a great book on how to close any argument, any deal. Yeah, good guy. I like Zig Ziglar a lot.
That's dope. It sounds like Dirk Diggler.
But it's not. It's very
Do you
different.
remember from Boogie Nights?
From Boogie
The
Nights.
movie Boogie Nights?
I know who Dirk Diggler is. That's
Dirk
why I said
Diggler.
It is absolutely not. I may do a Dirk Diggler quote one day, but today it's not. Today is
Okay.
Zig Ziglar.
Okay. Zig Ziglar. Got it.
Oh my gosh. The quote is, you get all you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want.
Oh, yes.
And I picked that quote out earlier today. And I think it's just going to go well with our podcast today. So I just love it.
I know. I'm so excited. That is perfect.
Yeah.
That's so perfect.
Yeah. So that is my quote. Do I need
say
to say it
one
again?
More time. Yeah, say it one more time so people can really take it in.
Okay. The quote today is by Zig Ziglar, amazing motivational speaker, great author. It is, you get all you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you for that quote, Cassandra.
No, thank you. Who's our woman?
And so I pulled a card of, and it's actually going to highlight 3 women.
Okay.
And it is Alicia Garza, Patrice Colliers, and you guys tell me if I'm saying it wrong, and Opal Tometi. These are the creators of Black Lives Matter.
Oh. Okay.
I pray that I'm saying their names right. Opal Tometi, Patrice Colliers, Alicia Garza. Melissa, you can tell me if I'm saying it wrong. But let me read. Organizers, freedom fighters, and justice seekers, creators of Black Lives Matter, a chapter-based national organization that was formed in 2013 to improve the lives of African Americans and rebuild the Black nationalist movement. Garza co-founded the Black Lives Matter with Colliers and Tometi as a call to action after an unarmed teenager, Trayvon Martin, was killed and his murderer went free. Colliers is an advocate for criminal justice reform in Los Angeles. Tometi serves as executive director and guides various chapters in the works they do when leading demonstrations, protesting institutional racism, and taking legal stands against injustices. And these are the women and creators of Black Lives Matter: Alicia Garza, Patrice Colliers, and Opal Tometi. Thank you, ladies, for the work that they do. And, you know, it's just so many things that go on in our community, good and bad. And when the whole Black Lives Matter movement started, there were, again, good and bad things that people were saying about the movement. And just overall the whole reason and purpose for this movement and many like it is to protect us. It is to empower us. It is to
Right.
make change. And
Right.
that's the core of it all. And so
Right.
I just want to applaud these women for putting themselves out there to try to make that happen.
Right. Yeah, 'cause activism is not easy. I mean, it's just
No.
really, it is not. People say they want to. People go through one march, and you could say you're an activist because you went down and marched on Thursday from 2 to 5 or whatever. But I definitely know that is something that is a big challenge. I mean, I even find myself, I feel like we're activists in our field of what we do, but I'm very absent in a lot of community activism. Because then you have to give so much of your time. So
That's
again, and sacrifice, because these women's lives have been threatened.
That's right.
It's just so much. You really are willing to make yourself a martyr almost for the community. And I definitely feel like it takes a special person and a very strong person to basically fight for human rights, because you're fighting for a better life for other people, you included, but it's really for the community.
And really a lot of times, they start this movement, but they probably won't even benefit from their work.
They won't. Yeah.
And it will be for generations, passed down.
Yeah.
So of course, we're all aware of the movement, but I wasn't sure that we were all aware of the women and their names that started it. I know I wasn't. So I wanted to make sure to highlight them.
Yeah, I had heard of Patrice, but I actually didn't know Opal Tometi. She's the only one that I had not. I don't know why I kept thinking it was two women, but thank you. That's amazing. They're amazing. We should have them on the show. We should at least have one of them on the show. So we're going to reach out.
Find them.
We definitely need to.
Melissa, can you find these women for us? I'm always giving you a task.
Right. Yeah, we have one of the three. We got to have, great to have two, but definitely, we should definitely have one of them on this season. So that's going to be
That's going to happen.
That is going to happen. It is going to happen.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, I've got some funny entertainment news. I know that sometimes we do entertainment news, sometimes we don't, but I like weird people. Like there's certain people that for some reason I just like them, whether it be Too Short, whether it be Scarface, whether
Too Short isn't weird. Why is that weird?
Well, it's weird. My crush on him is weird. You know what I mean? Just
I don't
random.
think so.
Not weird, but random. Random is the better word. I don't think so either.
No, we grew up listening to Too Short.
I love some Too Short.
Yes.
I also love Benny Siegel. But see, again, I'm all over the place. So, but one of my, not crushes, but just one of my people that I've been very fascinated with is Bridget Nielsen, because she's just such a, I don't know.
Now that's more weird.
That is, I mean, ever since she was this like super tall blonde model that was with Sylvester Stallone, and she would go in and out of public eye, but I always thought she was a very striking beauty. But then when she started dating Flavor, remember she started dating Flavor Flav?
I do.
That was
crazy.
That
was so weird.
So this is what I'm saying. I don't know why I've been fascinated with her. Just, I don't know. She's just somebody that I'd be like, oh man, I'd love to sit down and interview her and see what's going on with her brain.
Well, then we need to have her on the show
We
too.
should. She had a baby. On. She had a baby at 54 or 55. She just had a baby. She has a grown child that's in their late 30s, and then she just had a baby.
Nice.
And that's interesting.
Is she married?
Either she's married. No. I think it's her boyfriend. But he's much younger. Shout out to.
It's not Flavor Flav, is it?
No, it's. He's not much younger. Flavor Flav is not much younger than Bridget Nielsen. Flavor Flav is old. Oh my God! No. No, it is not with her. It's with her younger boyfriend guy that she's with. Nice. But yes.
And she had. Do you know if she had it naturally?
I don't know. I need to do that research because
I remember seeing her on TV because she was on one of those reality shows or something, right? I just remember seeing her on TV and she was pregnant and they were talking about it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if it was natural. I mean, it could have very well been. I mean, the people are having babies
And
naturally
she
these
had the
days.
baby out her vagina, or did she have
She,
to have a C-section?
oh my God. See, now you're getting, let's see. Bridget Nielsen, 55. She was on People magazine, becoming a mom at age 54. She feels young inside, but the reality of motherhood
Yeah.
for the fifth time has been more difficult, she says. She had a daughter, her name is Frida, and whom she gave birth to on June 22nd after going for more than 10 years of vitro fertilization treatment.
Oh, dang, she was trying hard to have a baby too. All right.
It is her husband, so it's not her boyfriend. She met her husband and she started freezing her eggs at age 40.
Okay. Nice.
And it took them 10 years and they finally have a baby together. He's cute too.
Oh,
Her husband.
good.
The baby's cute
She's
too. I was
cute
talking
too.
about her husband.
And she's an attractive woman too. Good.
She is. She's very attractive. But yeah, so she had a baby. So I mean, women that are out there and that are still trying and that have not been able to experience the miracle of motherhood, keep your head up because it can happen.
Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh at that, but I mean definitely keep your head up. But I also know that she's a very healthy person. She's, she works out. She was I don't know if she's a vegetarian. I know she had like alcohol problems back in the past, but
But who
for all
didn't?
of those,
No, I'm just kidding. Don't we all at some point in our lives?
weren't we all alcoholics at least for a spell?
At least for a week or so. I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. Women are having, Janet had her baby at 50. When
Right.
Allie had her baby. Women are having their babies older now. So it's a
But
testimony to how strong we are.
It is, and it's true. But this is my only concern, and I'm speaking about myself too, because I had Lola when I was 45 almost. And what I think about is as she gets older, like I'm so young with my mom. Like me and my mom, we hang out, we do stuff, and I
She's
feel
gonna be hanging out
like
with
that.
you.
Right, I feel like that because like Bridget she's 54. When her daughter is 20, she's going to be 74. It's like they're not going to be hanging out and going like how me and my mom. So
it's a different journey.
I know.
It's just a different journey.
Like, but
just you have to accept that. I mean, it's just she's gonna be hanging out
I'm
with Dalen.
gonna try to hang out. I know. Well, I do that now. So me and Dalen, we like kick it, like. But I want to be able to do that with my daughter.
Then you have to stay young.
I am. I'm gonna keep
You
myself
have to stay
kickable. I'm gonna keep myself
kickable.
Kickable.
Okay.
For Lola. I am.
At 80.
Hang out.
At 80. Lola's
kickable.
So when you're 80, Lola's gonna be what, 30? Not even 30. Yeah, she'll be 30. She'll be 34.
30s. She'll be 30 something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make that happen.
Okay. We'll make that happen.
So are we gonna do the Smith family? What was it? What was that segment called? The Smith family.
The Smith family. That's it. The Smith families.
Why am I saying the Smith family? What's wrong with my mouth today? The Smith
I don't know.
family segment, because we
I
love
don't
them so
know.
much.
We do love them. Do you have something for the Smith family?
I do. Well, I'm kind of like really. I told you I'm on their jock. I like really.
I know. I am
so on their jock. So I was looking at Jada's post. Well, I was looking at all of their posts. So I'm just going to pick one that I'm going to highlight. And
they're just so beautiful, and their kids are beautiful. And they just
rock. They just fucking rock. I just love it.
Her body's awesome. He's awesome.
Yes.
He's funny. Yeah, they're just amazing. Even Cherie, the former spouse, like her as she gets into, because she's amazing too.
Yes. So Jada, she has her Red Table show on Facebook, and it's just for me, because I met them many years ago, seeing how she is now, it's just so beautiful to me to see her like this, and seeing her just being so vulnerable and sweet and like crying and Because Jada, when we were like working on all of it, it's like she was just, you only saw the hardcore part of her. She was fun and would laugh, and she has a really big, great laugh too. But to see her so vulnerable on her show is just so beautiful to me. And recently, I saw a segment that she did with her mom talking about, her mom, Adrienne, who I've always loved. I'm like, oh my God, how could she be so sweet and so loving? And Jada is so hardcore. But anyway, those were my thoughts back then. So she had her mom on the show. I mean, well, her mom is a part of the show, but they were addressing her being 27 years sober from being heroin addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I just watching that segment was just so empowering and just so loving, watching her talk about it. And she was just talking about how she, finally she just knew that that God had protected her and Jada back then when she was dealing with all that stuff.
Right.
And, it was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. And you can see it because Jada posted it on her Instagram page. And just seeing these two grown women, mother and daughter, share and talk about this moment was just really beautiful to me. And so that's what came to my mind today to share about the Smith family.
Oh,
yay,
well,
Jada!
A beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yay, Jada, for evolution
and Miss Adrienne
and growth.
Yes.
Yep. And growth. And their daughter, Willow, is on there too sometimes too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So it's just lovely.
They go on vacation a lot. I think I want to go on vacation with them one time. I think that if Will knew
they're on
us,
vacation.
they're always on vacation. When he's
they're
not, and I
on
think
vacation.
well, let me say they're not always on vacation.
They're
Sometimes
working.
Will's working and the family is on vacation where he's working. So let me restate that. But I think that's going to be my goal. My 2019 goal is that I want to go on vacation with the Smith family. Yep. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all should go. All of
Yeah.
us, our kids, everybody. That's it. That's going to be my goal. Well, who do we have? We have a great guest today.
We do. I'm so excited.
I hear it.
Oh my God. And it's amazing. And it's her first time saying yes to a podcast ever. And she said yes you how to special. Us. Oh my God.
Yeah. And you guys need to stay tuned to find out why she said yes to us. Because that in itself is pretty amazing.
It's amazing.
So
we will be right back with our amazing, freaking, fantastic, phenomenal guest.
Stay tuned.
I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots, I be getting money. I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady.
Thank you, and we are back on I Look Good Naked, and we have a phenomenal, inspiring guest, and I just have to say I'm so excited to have her. I reached out to her earlier this year because I was in the space of looking for mentors, and she was the one on the top of my list, and I was able to actually get to her, which just is a testament of how great God is. And so I am happy to have the phenomenal entrepreneur, businesswoman, owner, creative, mogul, Miss Cathy Hughes.
Yay!
Well, I'm going to have to take you on the road with me. I love that intro.
And this is Miss Hughes' first podcast ever. So I Look Good Naked has just made history by bringing Miss Hughes on her very first podcast. We have popped her podcast cherry.
Yeah, absolutely you have. And I love the name of this podcast. I love that. That's so very cool.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Who came up with that? Which one?
Actually, it was Cas.
Right.
She actually did it jokingly. We were trying to come up with a name, and she kind of just threw it out there. And I was trying to come up with a deep name like Inspiring This or Motivational Talk or I was trying to come up with something deep. And she was like, girl, it just needs to be something like, I don't know, I look good naked. And I was like, that's it. Just stop right there. Don't say another name. That is it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. How inspiring in this
Yes.
the time of the woman, and what, thank God, what an elevated position all of us now are experiencing, and this whole issue of appearance,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that our young people struggle with because they, see all of these, because of social media, posting with women with enhanced bodies, and then they run out and get their bodies enhanced.
Right.
Okay. And the issue is, that's what babies are so free. Babies love to run around naked.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we age, we lose that. And it's tragic that we do,
that's
because
what it's
it
about.
starts with being in
That
love
is
with
what it's about.
yourself.
That's right. That's exactly. So we thank you for knowing what the podcast means when we say I look good naked, and agreeing to come on board and talk with us and be naked with us. So
well,
listen,
Terry, I'd go anywhere. I told you I've been a big fan of yours since, day one.
Yes, you did say that.
Yeah,
you make me blush every time you say
it. And one of the other things that I love about you is you have a distinctive voice. I didn't for years know that I had a distinctive voice, but whenever I hear you, I know it's you. And that, and that is really, really, really the essence of having, your own presence, your voice, warm and engaging, but it has a presence. When, I know you hear that all the time. You're probably in line at the grocery store, and so he said, "Are you Terry Vaughn?"
That's true. They'll be like, I knew it. They'll say something like, I thought that was you when I saw you, but when I heard you talk, I knew it was you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
They do that.
Yeah, that's a blessing. That's a true blessing.
Thank you. Well, speaking of voice and using our voice for our power, why don't we just start with, how did you even get started in the business of radio? And was that always an aspiration for you? And did you always have the vision of taking it as big as you have?
Well, number one, I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. So radio to me was Conway Twitty, Willie Nelson, Elvis Presley. So at age 8, my mother bought me a transistor radio. She put it in layaway for a year and gave it to me on my birthday. And it, for the first time in my life, because it was such a, back then, that's all everyone had was transistor radios. But this was a very good one that she had selected for me. So it brought in other cities, brought in other markets. So for the first time, I thought I was hearing Black disc jockeys, and I was hearing Black artists that I knew existed, because my mother was a musician, but not on the radio. And I fell in love with the medium. I fell in love with Black radio. Later, to my disappointment, my chagrin, found out that they didn't allow Black folks on the radio back then. And so these were white boys trying to sound hip and cool.
Right.
They were brothers. And, I often say, Terry, what a blessing God has bestowed on me to, at age 8, know what you want to do for the rest of your life. Okay, most of us spend our entire life really finding out what it is that gives us pleasure.
Right.
That also can generate revenue and keep a roof over our head. Because
that's right.
That's the hard part. Usually the stuff that gives us pleasure is not economically beneficial to us.
Right.
So our loved ones, our parents, our friends, our confidants, they tell us, "Oh, girl, you got to get a job." Okay.
Right.
Okay. But I like braiding hair. Okay. So why can't I do? So we have to encourage, excuse me, our young folks to really pursue something that brings them not only a salary that they're, are certainly, worthy of receiving, but more importantly than that is the joy and the satisfaction of knowing that you're doing something that really turns you on, like acting does to you.
Right. So were your parents supportive of that from the beginning?
Listen, so many days I got punished. The nuns, I'm in a Catholic school
Mm-hmm.
all my life. My mother back then believed that education sucked for people. And I grew up in the projects. She's like, these inner
Mm-hmm.
city girls, you're not going to, okay, them. So she put me in Catholic, all of us, all four of us, all of our lives. And so the nuns would send these notes home. I'd be on detention. I'd be kept after school, because once I fell in love with the medium radio, and I thought I
Mm-hmm.
was into Black radio, I
Yeah, I
started
love it.
rehearsing for my future career immediately.
That's right. Mm.
Okay. I rehearsed at home. I rehearsed at school. I went right. You know, some kids daydream in school. Oh no, I was in rehearsal. Okay.
I love it.
I'd be in the middle of the playground talking to myself. So the nuns thought something was very wrong with me. And
Oh man, this
okay.
obviously was destined. This was a part of your
Yeah,
destiny, like from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, let me repeat it again. What a blessing. Thank you, God, that from
Mm.
the age of 8 on to this day, I knew what
Mm.
it was that I was good at, and what I enjoyed,
Right.
and what I could make a living at, commensurate with my talent level. I believe that one of the problems that, women have experienced historically is we don't ever get the same pay that, our male counterparts get for the same job. And
Right.
oftentimes we have more qualification and experience in them, but there is a definite discrimination
Mm-hmm.
against women in the
Yeah.
workplace.
And so, speaking of that, can you
Excuse
can
me. And
you
I wasn't going for it. So I said, I'll work for myself. I'll be in charge of how much I get to make. Okay.
I know that's
And
right.
I don't have the type of personality to let you, discriminate against me. My mother, first time I ever went to a demonstration, I couldn't have been any more than 3 or 4 years old. I remember to this day how hard my mama hit me in the back of the head and said, hold the
Oh,
sign up straight. So
Mm.
I've been an activist. I was born into an activist family. And
gotcha.
so I knew that I probably wouldn't last too long with any type of supervision other than my own. And I felt I was disciplined enough, okay, and to be my own boss.
That's
Okay.
right.
And like I said, I knew, at an early age that no. I tried it. I worked for other people for a minute, got fired. Once I got fired, that was it. I said, I'll never work for anybody else again. I got fired because my baby was sick, and the babysitter called and
Mm-hmm.
said, his temperature, is getting higher. I think you need to take him to the doctor. So I told her that I had to go take my baby to the doctor. She said, you should do that type of stuff in the
Oh, okay.
evenings and on the weekend.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
I said, right. Okay. And so that's when, and my baby was probably maybe a year old.
Mm-hmm.
Alfred was about a year old. And so that's when I made up
Wow.
my mind to work for myself. Okay. Because number one, okay, she came to my house unannounced, unexpected. She was an older white woman who didn't like the fact that demonstrations and activism was the only reason I was
Oh,
in the office to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they hurry up and get somebody Black in there. And so she came to my house and fired me that evening, told me that I needed to learn that when someone gives me an order, I
Oh,
said, nobody but God can give me an order about my
I know
baby.
that's right.
Okay, all right. So yeah, so I knew then I had to work for myself. I think we have to be honest with our children and ourselves. Everybody does not fit into the structure of working for someone else.
That's
And
right.
that's the greatest blessing you can have if you want to be an entrepreneur, or even if you even thought about being an entrepreneur. The number one benefit is that the buck stops with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you get to call your own shots when you work for yourself. That's the most beautiful part of being an entrepreneur, is that you
so
are the boss.
So how did you do that? How did you, obviously you had your mindset on what you were going to do, that you were going to
Yep,
be your own boss and
yep,
you were going to work in radio. It was going to be that.
yep,
And
exactly.
so what were the steps that you took to be able to make that a reality for you?
First step I took isn't available to young people today. It's so tragic because I'm sure you're aware that a group of interns brought a lawsuit against one of the major networks, and the courts ruled in their favor and said if you have interns,
Right.
that they have to be compensated. So they really are part-time employees. Okay.
Mhm.
And most companies don't want to hire a part-time employee who's only available a few weeks during the summer and over Christmas vacation. Okay. They need you when the kids go back to school. And so if a company is going to fund a part-time job, they want it to have some stability and consistency. And so basically it knocked out the opportunity called intern. And that's what I did, or volunteer. I just went and hung out at the radio station when I got old enough. Well, young people can't do that anymore because of that lawsuit. And it's a tragic loss because I can't tell you how many folks I know in all generations that got their foot in the door being a volunteer or an intern.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. In just about every industry there is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but particularly in the media, and hey, so often in the media that day, God just blesses you, and somebody doesn't show up, or somebody gets sick, or an opportunity is right there.
That's
okay.
right.
You step into it, and the next thing you know, you got a career. All right. So that's how I got into it. Unfortunately, that does not exist for young people any longer because of this lawsuit. They felt that they weren't, really, experiencing a learning experience and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, well, unfortunately, all of us got punished because you had a bad internship. And it was a class action suit. So, the days of just going to hang out, volunteering for whatever. I mean, if they said they were going to have, a mosquito gathering. Okay, I was there. Okay, with some spray, whatever
Right.
they did at the station that they were going to do. Okay, if they had a mosquito problem, I went and ran out on my own and with my own money bought a can of mosquito spray, came back and cleared that up immediately.
Right.
Okay, so whatever it took to get my foot in the door, and I learned the industry. Okay, I went from pretending my toothbrush was a microphone in the bathroom at home to the bat on the playground being my microphone, or and excuse me, because of me being willing to do whatever, whenever was needed, and making suggestions, because I've always been unsolicited advice. Okay, people, that's the name of my book, Unsolicited Advice. So that's how I got in. Terry. I just kind of said, I never felt I was imposing on anyone. I never felt I felt I was supposed to be there.
Right, and that you were an asset.
That I was an asset. I felt right. I felt I was contributing something. And I knew that when they would start calling and saying, what do you mean you can't come in this Saturday? Okay, or okay, you can't work this promotion, or you can't do that. And then one day there was a strike and there was nobody to go on the air.
Right.
And my voice trembled so badly, I would have thought that I had Parkinson's. Okay. Oh my God. This is, I was terrified. I thought, I'm not joking. This is not a joke. I thought that the audience could hear my heartbeat over the microphone. That's how scared I was.
Right.
That's a true story. My heart was pounding. And then, the more times that I got to do it, the better I got at it. And then it was my morning show that was the foundation for the entire company. I generated enough money once I start doing a 4-hour morning show for us to expand and grow and diversify. But it was my morning show that I ended up absolutely positively another blessing, being able to command a following in Washington that we didn't take, as old folks used to say, we didn't take any tea for the fever. We're an activist audience, some of the best first families of Washington who had been here for generations and had never had a voice, because the Washington Post thought that even though it was a local newspaper, the local voice, which was, when I moved here, it was 80% African American. They called it Chocolate City.
That's right. I remember it being
You
called
read that?
that.
Yep. A chocolate city with vanilla suburbs, they used to call it.
Mm,
So when, I just applied all of this that I had learned and been involved in, and most importantly, I did a talk format. I did 4 hours of talk. I opened the
right.
airways for the citizens of Washington, D.C. to express their opinion. Reverend Sharpton calls it, I took the mute button off of Black America.
Yes.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he says that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And girl, I had more
Really?
trouble from Black folks at first. I
Are
got
you
letters.
serious?
Oh, oh my
Oh,
God. Oh my God. I got hate letters. I'm so sorry. All away because now they're trying to compile my archives because I'm in my fourth quarter of this journey, and
mm-hmm.
I don't have any of those. But yeah, principals of schools, you can't just let anyone on the air talking. That's an embarrassment to the race. And
So what
advertisers,
was their gripe? What were
they
they
didn't.
saying was wrong that you were saying?
No, not what I was saying. What my listeners were saying, the callers.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
They didn't feel. Washington is a very
Mm.
blessed and highly educated, highly affluent,
Yeah.
smart, brilliant city. Black folks, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Black folks I'm talking about, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they have been into doing very important things like running the entire government for the entire country for a very long time. Washington, D.C. has a very special African American population, and their nucleus is the local D.C. community.
Yes.
And when I came here, DC still was fairly segregated, okay? That Black folks occupied certain, when I came to DC for the first time, I had seen the racial divide. I had never seen that even in Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
There were Black and white folks that went to our church in Omaha. But here, it was so obvious on Sunday morning. You go to a Black church, all Black. You go to a white church, all white, both located in the
Right.
District of Columbia. And that's how segregated it still was when I arrived here, 40 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I recognized immediately how brilliant and how special this African American community is. And just gets better with each passing year because now we got an incredible mayor, a woman. Muriel Bowser is the best mayor since Marion Barry. A lot of folks who don't live in Washington, D.C. have a very negative opinion of him. And yes, what he did was horrible to his family and but it never ever dampened the support and the appreciation and enthusiasm, because up until Muriel Bowser came into, and that was the last thing Marion Barry did before he died. He saw to it that we were going to elect Muriel Bowser. He saw to it that she would be the mayor because he saw in her the same thing. Everybody Black, everybody, no exception, everybody Black who lived in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. benefited in one way or another from the terms of Marion Barry being the mayor. Separate from the demons that he couldn't control that destroyed him personally and ultimately, ultimately cost him his life. Okay. All right. Marion Barry was he was the best of all the Black mayors. You could not get a drink of water in Washington, D.C. while he was in charge unless you made certain there was some Black involvement. Period. Paragraph. Okay. No exception. Okay. No exception. Anything going on in this city, he required that Black folks be a part of. He elevated, he took care of the young people during his tenure. Any person between the ages of, I think it was 16 and 19, all you had to do was sign a form and you were employed for the summer. Okay. Okay. There was no limit, no budget, just however many signed up, that's how many worked every year. Senior citizens were treated to things that were healthy for them. His administration was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And when I arrived, Walter Washington wasn't even a elected mayor. He was an appointed mayor. The mayor at that time, the president of the United States appointed who the mayor of Washington, D.C. would be, and it was Walter Washington. Okay, and all right, I just knew, oh my God, what an opportunity to open up these airways and let Black folks talk about what's really going on in this city. We pay high tax rates. You know, DC been able to maintain its size because it can't expand. It's blocked by Virginia and Maryland. But the reason that DC has been able to maintain what it is that is best about this city, being the #1 city in the whole world, quite frankly, is because Black folks were in charge, and the Black folks here got compensated for that. They got rewarded because, you know, I mean, listen, when Lee Atwater was in the White House with the first Bush family member to they used to call in on my morning show because the employees at the White House who had been there for decades through several presidents required, it was on in the kitchen at the White House when we were on the air talking about the issues of Washington, D.C. And these activists in this city saw to it that changes were made. Once they were able to have their voice heard, they took action. And like I said, all the way up to this mayor that we have now, Muriel Bowser, who's probably one of the best mayors in the entire United States right now. I know my long. I'm sorry, Terry, but I'm so excited for the opportunity.
No, I can tell. I love your passion, and it's that you had a footprint in establishing and creating that voice in DC and keeping it going.
Yeah,
by putting the community on the radio, right?
Yep, he still goes to this day. Dick Gregory gave us credit for, you know, resurrecting, you know, his career at a time when nobody was, you know, took him all the way to Broadway. I mean, you know, just, and we have incredible success stories, but all I was, quite frankly, was the vehicle to provide, the power of the people in Washington, D.C. to be heard and most importantly, unified. Most importantly, unified, yeah. At any given time, the only thing we were not successful at accomplishing when I was on the air was getting statehood. We still cannot vote in Congress in D.C. It's tragic. It's tragic. Absolutely tragic. Eleanor Holmes Norton is one of the most brilliant, you know, people in this whole country. She's been sitting up there all these decades now. She can discuss issues before Congress, but she can't vote on it. So basically, she has nothing to trade off with the other because, you know, politics is nothing but the art of exchange and fair negotiation, supposedly fair negotiation.
So in speaking about your whole organization, your whole media platform being TV One, Radio One,
I won digital because that's what's most popular with young people.
I won digital. So what are like the core values? Just hearing you speak about your upbringing and what your passion for the community. What are some of the core values that you make sure your organization has on each level?
My company, #1, knows, my employees know when they're hired. #1, we're a family. Many years ago when I was starting out, I started reading about Japanese companies. And a lot of folks don't know the Japanese, they don't use lawyers, okay? Their word is their bond. Okay, and so I was like, what? Okay, I don't know if that's still true today because this was years ago. They also have their employees a family. Okay, it's a family atmosphere where people express their opinion. So that's what I want for my company. So #1, you know, core value is integrity. And honesty kind of occupy that space. And with that integrity and honesty, we super service our community. Okay, if you're not service oriented, then this isn't the right company for you because I told you, I still remember my head hurting when I was no more than 3 or 4 years old because I didn't hold the picket sign up.
Right.
Okay? So, okay, I'm very committed to activism in our community. I'm also very, very committed to what we do in our media company is not pure entertainment. There in this day and time, there are all types of creative ways to
That's
interject
right.
important information into entertainment. Another book I read early in my, development of my career was the Red Book. It was called back during the civil rights demonstration. It was the Chinese Mao Zedong rule book when he was the emperor of China, and he said that there's not going to be any movie making or recordings or performances that don't have some type of socially redeeming message in them, that we're not going to just laugh and enjoy ourselves for the sake of pure enjoyment, because the two need to be combined.
That's right.
And certainly, he imposed that through dictatorial, authority. But I found that to be so true that, it's important for you, my audience, to hear the, latest song, or know that Beyonce is going to be in DC this weekend, but it's also equally important for them to know that there is a movement that is very old that's been going on in this country concerning reparations, which quite frankly other groups have received. All right. And none of the other groups were enslaved. Okay.
That's
So,
right.
all right. We were enslaved and didn't get reparations. So anyway, those are the types of tidbits that we like to intersperse with our entertainment form, and has been very well received when, talk is one of the most expensive formats. News talk is so expensive because you have to have a team of people. Music is easier to do in radio because you're just playing records. But now, if the game has changed, we're heavy into technology. We've got like 400 employees in New York, all working in our, internet company. And, I love that vehicle because you can just instantaneously disseminate.
That's right.
And people are looking for it. They may not, stay there and read it like it's a book, but they definitely going to check in. And if it's something that interests them, you're going to have, you can get 500,000 clicks in the bat of an eye,
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And if you're a Kardashian, you can get 1 million, 1 billion.
Yes, you can. So what do you think the state of radio is going? Do you think radio will always be around? I love radio. I got to co-host with Tom Joyner this morning, even.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I have fun with them this morning, and I love radio. Do you think that radio will continue and always be around?
Yes, I think it will change its form. I think the Black radio will have very little change in form. Okay. Every time research is done, Black radio ranks second only to Black churches in terms of credibility with Black people.
Yeah.
Tom Joyner single-handedly has kept historically Black colleges and university students alive and in school, to the tune of millions of dollars. I mean, what happens in the activism in Black radio is why I was so suited for it. Why it was such a perfect fit for me. The things that get done, the community not only, it's like with Marion Barry. Even though that was 25 years ago that he did this for these local residents, they are thankful to this day. That's the role that Black radio plays in every city. If it's Philadelphia, it's Georgie Woods. If it's New York, it's Frankie Crocker. These are people that, DC, it was, Dewey Hughes and P.D. Green, the whole movie, Talk to Me. You don't get that in any other outlet. And even though, it's like everybody, and I'm so glad that Black folks are being employed, but, everybody in television and cable now is in the Black lane.
Right.
Everybody's got a Black show. Same thing in radio. Okay, everybody, Clear Channel thinks they know more about Black radio, but Black folks are very sophisticated when it comes to media, and they know the difference between Black owned and Black programmed. Okay,
That's
and
right.
so I think that loyalty will last past your lifetime and mine. Okay, I think it will change. I think the industry will change, but I think that the bond between Black people and their radio for the dissemination. I can't tell you, even with internet, how many of our listeners now listen to us around the country on the internet. Okay, I'm taking you with me. Okay, that bond. Do they listen like they once did when they had no choice? No, because they have different options now. But do they come home every day?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. They
That's
exercise
right.
their other options, but they come back. So that's what I think the future. It's always been a challenge to get advertisers to support Black-owned media. That's the reason. I mean, how dare us not have a daily Black-owned newspaper? Okay, that's an indictment of everybody Black in this country. There should definitely be a Black-owned daily newspaper. Okay, like a USA Today, but for Black folk. Okay. That's information. So much of our information, and it's valuable information. And the people who say you don't need Black history because Black folks are American history, that's so true. How could three women who were responsible for John Glenn being so popular, so celebrated that he went all the way to Congress, and you didn't know that those hidden, they were hidden figures for real. You didn't know that those three sisters.
And so many stories.
Listen, the whole foundation, the whole space program rested on these. Thank you. So many stories like that. Okay, so many stories. I know in your career, well, I'm sure people send you scripts about real life stuff every day.
Yeah.
That's way better than anything anyone's written or made up. Real Black stories.
Real life.
Okay, so there's enough information out there to support a Black daily newspaper. There ain't enough advertising support. Okay, that's the problem. The problem is it's always been a challenge. So, excuse me. And I mean, when I started out, I was one little 1,000-watt weak AM radio station in the nation's capital, and now we've ended up being the largest media Black-owned company. Okay,
it's amazing.
in the country.
Just amazing. Which is
go ahead. I was just trying to. I was going to ask how did you balance all of that? I mean, you were a mom, and I know Alfred works with you now. Has he always worked with you? Just how did you do that? Just we're working moms, and
absolutely,
we understand, but just talk about your process and how important that was to have him with you.
Oh, listen, I didn't have a choice. I knew no one Washington, D.C., other than Tony Brown, who was hiring me to be on the first faculty of the School of Communications at Howard University. I knew no one, so he went to work with me. Okay, my intern, who later became Melvin Lindsay and hosted, he was my third host of The Quiet Storm and really the one that made it popular. But Melvin used to pick him up there. He was my intern, and I would pay him. He'd go get Alfred from school every day. Alfred came to school, did his homework at a little desk. I would cook up on the weekends all the food, bring it in, put it in the freezer, bring it in, warm it up. We'd have dinner there in the station. I didn't have a choice. But always, like I said, the only time I've ever been fired, it was over Alfred. I've never ever thought it was a balance. I've always thought that you have to concentrate on the family first, because that empowers you to take the challenges of work life. Work life, I don't care, even when you enjoy it, it can be very stressful. Okay, even when you love what you're doing, okay, it can wear you out. But if your home life, if your family life, even if, single mama, I got married to Dewey Hughes when Alfred was 15 years old. So basically I was through almost. Although thank God he came into my life at a time where I didn't know Alfred was going to challenge me, because I thought Alfred understood that I would kill him. Okay.
That's right.
I hey, didn't I tell you I still remember the pain when my mama hit me in the head?
That's right.
Okay, I come from an old-fashioned black family. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, I didn't ever choose between him or he went to affairs with me. People complained. Okay, he had his first tuxedo when he was about 10 years old because I had formal affairs I had to go to for my career
Wow.
advancement, and he was my date. Okay, yeah, I just, you know, I when I decided I was 16, and everybody, including uh, my priest, okay, didn't suggest that I get an abortion, but did say that it would be better if I didn't become a mother at such an early age, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I realized that this was a
Mm.
blessing that I had to take very seriously, if
Mm-hmm.
okay, if not, it would be very, very, very difficult to avoid being a statistic, me and him.
Right.
I
Right.
told you, I already knew what the projects were like. I grew up in them. Okay.
Right.
I was only maybe 4 years tops removed from the project. So I was like, me and my baby cannot be living over in the projects. Okay.
Right.
We would
Right.
have, okay, then, you know, and listen, I lived in the projects when you had to work to get public housing. You had to have a job. Okay. In those days, there had to be a working adult in the unit. Okay. Now, that working adult could be a child, or it could be a husband or a wife, or, you know, a cousin or sister. But back in those days, there you did not live in the projects without paying rent. And I was like, I'm not going to pay no rent to live in the projects. I got to figure this out so my son and I can, you know, live where it's safe first and foremost. Because I realized
Right.
kid myself. So that's the balance was that he was always first, and I included him. He likes to tell a corny joke that he was in college before he realized that everybody didn't work in a radio station because he was one every day. I was like, it was not that bad. He said, yes, it was, Mama. You took me to the station every day.
Oh.
And
Oh.
hey, that was 7 days a week, because also when I tell young
Wow.
people that they're missing a big word out of their vocabulary, it's called sacrifice. I said, you all need
Right.
to really get into that word. Okay. All right. What? No, it's the weekend off. We went in there into work because I
Right.
had to impress, you know, Howard University.
Right. Right. So what do you if you had to say what you see Black women doing right or doing wrong and doing wrong, what would be like maybe 3 rights and 2 wrongs that we're doing?
I think rights, setting an example for the world of the strength of womanhood. It's kind of like when they say, you know, Black history is American history. Black
Mhm.
womanhood is the standard. I mean, hey,
Mhm.
Cleopatra was a Black woman. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Mary, the mother of Jesus, was a Black woman. Okay. So what we've been doing right is elevating the standard of what
Love
fulfilled
that.
woman is about. Okay.
Mhm.
Secondly, the rearing of not just our children, but our whole village. The rearing of our,
Mm.
and thirdly, taking care of our elders. All right.
Mhm.
Taking care of our elders, even sometimes if they're not ours, okay, making certain that they're okay. There's a compassion that just comes with melanin that I just love about being a okay.
Yes.
It's in our DNA. We can't, okay, we're like, I don't want to be bothered, but tell me how you doing. Okay.
Right. Right.
Three things that I think we're doing wrong. Two things wrong, right? Three things right. Two
Right.
things wrong. I think not really, really, really feeling good about ourselves.
Mm. Mhm.
I think that we still embrace
Mhm.
other people's standards of beauty.
Mm.
I think that that's when I love the name of your show. That's when I started off telling you that I love this name of this. Okay.
Mhm.
You know, you weren't my first podcast, you know,
Oh.
invitation. You're the first one I accepted.
Oh.
Okay. And
Oh.
part of it, okay,
Wow.
part of it had to do with the name, because what we're doing wrong is trying so hard to please other people rather than understanding that please God and then you'll please yourself. Okay. Okay. And we go to church now. Black women, there wouldn't be no black church. It wasn't for black women. All right. But the reality is that we still don't embrace that we are goddesses. Okay.
That's right.
All right. We are goddesses. We ain't queens. We have queens. We give birth to queens. We are goddesses. Okay.
Right.
God has instilled something. Eve, the first woman, the first human, sapien, a Homo sapien that was discovered, a black woman. They named her Eve. Okay. Found in the continent of Africa. All right. So we are truly regal, and we don't embrace that enough. We still wear other people's hair. Okay. Okay. We wear, okay. We follow other people's standards of beauty while they're busy trying to look like us. Okay. We look like them. Okay.
That's true.
The second thing that I would say that I've learned through years is it is good to be independent, but I think Black women make the mistake of confusing independence with self-sufficiency. And I think that once we feel that we can, quote, make it on our own, we're making a big mistake in terms of the bond that exists between Black men and Black women. And it really does take a team. And sometimes that person necessarily isn't the right mate for you in terms of the right lover for you. That doesn't mean that they're not necessarily the right mate for you, because they could be a friend. This new show that everybody's raving about that is really good. I love Billy Porter. He and I have been friends for years. Pose, the relationship between Pray Tell, okay, and the star of the show. Okay, I mean that bond. And when we get too independent, when we get too self-sufficient, we don't feel we need that bond. Okay. And I think that's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Because I see God, I believe God is, everything is in duality. I think that.
Hello? I don't know. I don't hear anything.
Did we lose her?
That's a great. I thought
Is that
hello?
her? Hey.
Yeah. Oh, hi.
Hi,
Okay.
I hear you now.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So I think that we make a mistake feeling that we can do it all. Can we do it all? Yes.
Right.
But we don't need to let anybody and everybody know that. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right.
I think that we make a mistake, and it disturbs me very much, to be honest with you, the mass exodus of quality Black men to other cultures, other colors, other individuals. Because I think that Black women have always loved our men with a passion that cannot be replicated or duplicated by any other culture. All right. There's a special. But, if you feel like, well, I'm okay on my own, then that mentality also goes to the next generation. I think that's why, so many young girls think, well, it's okay, I'll have the baby. It doesn't matter if the daddy's not around. It makes a difference if the daddy's around. That's okay. All right. But this whole independent thing, should we be independent? Yes. But should we use that independence to turn us into, one person operations? I think that's a big mistake. I think that not only does it compromise, do we do a good job with our children? Yes. But could we have maybe done a better job if we had a relationship? Okay. That's right. Just because you can't stand him and it didn't work out between the two of you, that has nothing to do with you relieving him of his responsibility to be their daddy, to be in their life. Okay, support them emotionally,
That's
financially,
right.
spiritually. Okay, but
Yeah.
so many of us like, oh, it's not worth it. It is worth it. It
Yes,
is
it
worth it.
is. Yeah.
Okay, and if
It's
you are okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
For
Terry.
them. Yeah.
no, I was gonna say it's worth it for us, it's worth it for the child, and it's worth it for the man
Yes,
to be responsible. That feeds them too, to know
the,
that they are being responsible, taking care of their business.
the
Yeah.
most important part is good for our community. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
the way it used to be.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, it's the way it used to be. And so those are my 5 things I love about us, and those are the 2 things that if God asked me if I had 2 wishes, I take those
Yes.
I take those
Yes.
2 out. Okay, I'd make us all feel how beautiful we really are, and I'd make all of us be willing to, I mean, Teddy Pendergrass used to have a song about 50-50, and in the song he
Yeah.
says that sometimes he would, she'd be given 80, he'd be given 20.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, when I hear that line, I used to think, yeah, but if she had you, baby, she was a happy camper.
The
She was a
happy,
happy,
funny,
Yes.
happy 80. Yeah.
she was a
That's
happy
funny.
80. Okay.
So, Miss Hughes, I only have one.
No,
I have
I'm
one
sure
last
my one
question,
last
Cass. I
is
don't know
your
if you had
last. Go
any
ahead.
other questions that you want to make sure you ask her,
Your legacy to be. I knew it. I knew you were
which
gonna
is,
ask
what
that.
do you want your legacy to be? Mm-hmm.
that I helped more people than I hurt lifetime.
Mm.
Really elevated somebody's plural in my community, that their lives were, even if it's just a tick better off, but that their life
Mm-hmm.
enhanced and hopefully improved because I existed, that I really did help other individuals, particularly my favorite group, Black women.
You've helped these 2 Black
Well,
women
you have
today.
done that for us. You
But yeah.
have, and not just today. We own a production company together, Cass and I, Nina Holiday Entertainment. We've
Yep.
had several of our projects
Yep.
air on your network on TV One. You guys have always been supportive of us, allowing me opportunities to direct, Cass opportunities to write the movies, and us to produce them for you. And
Wow.
we thank you for that. We
Yes.
thank you. You are a phenomenal legend. And I do not take it lightly that we have you on the phone right now. Yes, I'm getting a little emotional. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Cathy Hughes.
Thank you. That's what I want my legacy to be, that because I had blessings and opportunities that I was able to provide, that pass it on down, play it forward. And so I thank you for saying that to me. God bless both of you. Cass, I love your name. Does it have a meaning?
No, it's short for Cassandra. So it's just, it's
okay.
Cass. Yeah, but
you prefer Cass. Okay.
yeah.
Well, all right.
I have 2 last names, Seeger's Beatles. So sometimes when you add the Cassandra on, it's a spirit of too much. So Cass Seeger's Beatles is what we're doing.
So it does mean something. It means that your real name is Cassandra.
There you go.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank
Enjoy your
you
day.
so much.
No, thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you
God
for
bless you
including.
too.
Oh, and this is historic. Send me a letter, would you? Document the back. My very first.
I will.
Thank you. Love
Yep,
you, girl.
absolutely.
All right. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots, I be getting money. I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots, I be getting money. Nothing can stop me now.